Hi there, it's Ian over at Griptape, and today we're going to jump into an exciting topic, which is the creation of custom nodes with AI coding tools like Cursor and Claude Code. And for this demo today, we're going to be using Cursor. It's the tool that I'm most familiar with, but the techniques that I'll describe to you here will work with pretty much any AI coding assistant that you want to use. And to demonstrate AI-assisted development of custom nodes, we're going to recreate something that we created just a week or so ago in our own standard node library, which is this color matching node. So if you haven't yet seen this, this allows you to transfer the color palette from one image to another. So in this example here, I'm transferring the color palette from this oil refinery image onto the image of a wheat field here under a beautiful blue sky. And you can see that I get a grimy post-industrial wheat field created as a result of that color transfer. The node supports strength configuration on this slider and also supports a variety of different color transfer algorithms as well. Just to demonstrate the effectiveness of the node, I did run these extract key color nodes as well earlier. So if you run one of these extract key color nodes, you can see how the palette is adjusted in the image as a result of the transfer. It works pretty well, right? You're very useful for artists that want to make sure that different images are color consistent before they maybe use them for image to video generation with other generative models inside Griptape Nodes. So how do you go about building something like that using an AI assistant coding tool like Cursor? Well, first of all, we need a clean environment. And of course, we need a prompt. And I have a prompt over here that I've developed which works really well for this particular example, and we'll talk through that in a while. But this prompt does reference a directory that we're going to use to create our resources in. So I'm going to make that directory. And the other thing that I'm going to do here is I'm going to grab our Griptape Nodes library template repo, which includes a lot of useful resources for node development, particularly the README contains a lot of guidance about how to develop custom nodes. The repo itself is an example of a node library, so the structure of this repo with these example nodes is consistent with the structure that you would need in your own custom libraries for Griptape nodes. And then lastly, it references the node development guide, which is another GitHub repo that we have created that contains a comprehensive node development guide in Markdown, which is ideal for loading into an AI assisted code editor like Cursor or Claude Code, containing guidance, context, and sample code that you can use for node generation. So we have those things in our environment now. We're going to change into the template repo that I just cloned, and we're going to start a new Cursor instance in that location. And you'll see in a second that I get a new Cursor window that pops up. There we are. And we already have our Griptape Nodes example template repo available for us as context. The other thing that we're going to need is we're going to need to add the working directory that we're going to create our new node within. So to do that, I just add an additional directory to my workspace, and you can see that appears here at the bottom. And then lastly, I'm going to make this window a little bit larger so that we can see what's going on in it, but I'm not going to put it underneath my own video down here, because I need to approve a few things as the agent runs. So we'll jump back into the other Cursor instance, and we will grab that prompt that we had there. Just going to copy that prompt back to the new Cursor instance, and we're going to paste that prompt into our prompt section over here. Make that a little bit larger so you can see a little bit more of it. And we'll talk through it in a moment. So let's do that on the bigger version, actually. So the prompt is as follows. Looking at the guidance in README and the node development guide referenced in that file, create a new color match demo node for Griptape Nodes. Then we go on to explain the functionality that we want. We make reference to a third-party library that we're going to use to implement the color transfer methods. We specify the parameters, so the UI elements that we want to appear in our node. And we do that in detail, including output types. And then we tell the agent where it's going to create the new node and what project structure to use. So we'll jump back over to the version of that prompt that is in Cursor. There's a couple of references that we need to add here. You can see that we make reference to README MD, but as a result of the copy and paste effort that I just did, those have been replaced with text. So I need to drag README MD out of my context directory back into my agent. And that's just as simple as getting hold of the file and saying, this is the reference that you're going to use. And then I'm going to switch my cursor instance into plan mode, which I prefer. I think it's more effective, and you can see that I'm using Anthropic's Opus 4.5 model here as the model that's underpinning my planning and agent operation. So I'm going to hit run on that prompt. And as you might expect, this might take a few minutes. So if it is a lengthy process, I will speed up the video here and we'll get to looking at some output in just a second. Okay, you can see that our plan is being generated here. So we're going to create the project structure. We're going to create the library metadata. We're going to implement the color matched demo node class with all the parameters specified. And then we're going to write a README with installation and usage instructions. And everything else looks good in here to me. So we will build it. Again, I'll accelerate the video here if that's required to get us to the end more promptly. Okay, and we're done there. So we've got documentation that's been created for us. We can read that just by opening this and then Markdown preview. And you can see here the docs for the node that was just created. But of course, the real test here is to load it into Griptape Nodes and verify that it performs in the same way as the node that we created with similar specification earlier. So I'll jump back over into Griptape Nodes, which is here. Go to my settings, and I want manual library management. So I'm going to here to libraries, and I'm going to add a new library. You can see that I've got quite a few already. Add a new library like this. I'm already in the correct directory from my testing earlier. So we're going to add our Griptape _nodes_ library.json, close our settings, open up our library navigator here and refresh our libraries. And our color match library has appeared here. So I'm going to drag that onto my canvas. And you can see the GUI is very similar with a couple of changes, actually. So the color transfer method, it actually says that in long form rather than being just method. And the strength also says color transfer strength. And then rather than output, we've got output image. So those were decisions that were taken by the agent on our behalf about naming based on the prompt that I gave. And if we drag in those same two images, so we'll take the grimy oil refinery and the beautiful wheat field with its blue and yellow palette, and we will run this node, strength 1. Actually, we'll switch to this exact same algorithm as well, which I think is this one, and run that. And you can see that we have our result there. Could actually drop a compare images node onto the canvas and then connect our new image to the one that the previous version of this node also generated. We can expand the size of that by clicking here. And if you compare those two images, you'll see that the palette is identical. So I'd say that we got a perfect one-shot generation on that custom node using Cursor. The prompt that I showed you, and most importantly, the resources that are available inside the template repo. I mean, that's the real secret sauce here in terms of generating these nodes. Providing the guidance in the node development guide to your agent will, of course, give you much better results in node generation. So I hope that's been useful for you as a quick demo, how to generate nodes using AI-assisted coding tools. As usual, if you need any further help or support, jump over onto our Discord. You can find me and the rest of the team there. And I really hope to see you build some creative things using your favorite AI-assisted coding tool together with Griptape Nodes. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.